Hey there, and welcome. It's another beautiful day. Let's watch some stuff.
There was a rumor that the Germans were on the brink of creating super soldiers, which put pressure on all the governments to start their own super soldier program. Due to the danger of the experiments, no one volunteered, and eventually, one of the lead scientists, Albert Weston, offered up his daughter Abigail for the test. However, the experiments went south really quickly. Her hair started falling out and her bone structure started mutating, and shortly after that, she lost her mind. Realizing what he had done, Albert committed. His colleagues were quick to try to get rid of Abigail and tried to starve her to death in her cell. However, she broke out and decapitated two security guards. Now, the official story says that she was recaptured and contained in Area 51, but guards and witnesses from that day claimed she was never captured and escaped south, hiding in Superstition Mountain, where many decapitated bodies have been found. So,
And while I question the authenticity of those images, I definitely wouldn't put it past our government to try to create some kind of super soldier. They heard that Germany's doing it and they're going to do it. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't think there would be that kind of a deformation in a human being to turn into that kind of a creature, but that's just my opinion.
Y'all, I think I know what CERN was doing while this eclipse was happening. Do you see this? There is so many different videos and footage of demons flying by the sun. I'm about to show you another one in a minute. I'm gonna slow it down right here. And then there was this one. And there's so many more. And if y'all really don't want to act like demons don't exist, there was a rumor that CERN was haunted after their first time powering up. And then as of lately, they say they found a 4D ghost in the CERN particle accelerator. AKA, they found a demon, another entity above our dimension. For anybody saying it's a rocket, you are completely fooling yourself. You are fooling yourself. And here is that one going back and forth. Look at that. That is insane, y'all. So does anyone want to tell me what all these demons were doing? Maybe this is why they brought up the demon face thing on the news.
Now I'm guilty of this too. People want so badly for everything to mean something. Like how the eclipse had to be, the rapture or some biblical event, and how its path was supposed to cause some cataclysmic devastation, right? And sometimes things just are. They don't necessarily need an explanation or a reason or a purpose. It's just, the way that it is. And like I said, I'm guilty of it too. But I find it interesting, all the theories that are coming out with why this is happening and how it has to be a sign from God or from the devil. It just really is interesting.
So, how would you feel if you went in for a surgery? Let's say something as simple as getting your tonsils removed. And while you were asleep, a doctor and several doctors in training performed a sensitive exam on you, like a pelvic or prostate exam, without knowing it at all. After all, you were under anesthesia, so how would you have known? Up until recently, doctors in most states were allowed to do this. Finally, and shockingly in 2024, this was outlawed at the federal level. Let me explain. A 2020 New York Times article more or less blew the lid off this issue. Hospitals across the country were performing unnecessary pelvic exams on unconscious patients, mostly women, to teach medical students how to perform them. In 2005, a University of Oklahoma study showed that the majority of medical students who were asked had performed a pelvic exam on unconscious women, and 3 out of 4 believed informed consent was not obtained. It's incredibly violating to have your body used without your knowledge or consent. The idea that so many people, mostly women according to the data, were used as teaching tools without their knowledge is alarming and just another example of women's bodily autonomy being taken from them. This issue has been somewhat of an open secret in the medical and medical training field for a while, with some physicians seeing it as a necessary part of their training and others pushing for reform. 20 states, including New York and Utah, even passed laws banning the practice and demanding consent. But now, the US Department of Health and Human Services has decided that practitioners in all medical settings must receive written consent, confirming that patients would allow any kind of teaching exam, especially those concerning more sensitive areas of the body, to take place under anesthesia. The bottom line is this: consent matters most. Of course, we want our doctors to be knowledgeable, but give people the opportunity to say yes, or more importantly, no to the things being done to their body. It's about bodily autonomy, and we all should, keyword there, should, have the right to be able to say what happens to our bodies.
That's a little concerning because I myself have had to undergo 5 different surgeries. One was for a lumbar fusion due to spondylolisthesis. Another one was because of endometriosis. And then I had 3 correctional surgeries after the endometriosis issue. So I guess those 4 don't really matter because they were in that area anyway. But still, not knowing what's happening while you are completely sedated, that's disturbing. Make sure you read your consent forms very, very thoroughly anytime you're going to go under any kind of anesthesia, because your privacy matters.
The state of Oregon has officially recriminalized drug possession, reversing a first-in-the-nation law approved by voters in 2020. I'll explain. On Monday, April 1st, Oregon Governor Tina Kotek signed a bill reinstating criminal penalties for possession of small quantities of hard drugs after they were eliminated through Measure 110, a voter initiative that overwhelmingly passed in 2020. The decriminalization law, which took effect in February 2021, eliminated jail time for possession of all drugs, including hard drugs like heroin, methamphetamine, fentanyl, and cocaine. In its place, it offered treatment options for drug users. But in the years since, overdose in the western state have seen a sharp increase, with the city of Portland declaring a fentanyl state of emergency this past January. Last month, House Bill 4002, which reverses a key aspect of the decriminalization initiative, overwhelmingly passed the Oregon legislature. Under the new law, those convicted for unlawful drug possession, a misdemeanor, could face up to 6 months in jail. As an alternative, they can choose to undergo drug treatment. The changes will take effect September 1st. Under Measure 110, the state of Oregon directed millions of dollars of the state's cannabis tax revenue toward addiction services, but state auditors found that authorities struggled to keep up with the new treatment system. According to the state's 2023 audit report, Oregon has the second highest rate of substance abuse disorder in the United States.
So unfortunately, that won't go into place until September 1st. But at least they're finally doing something about it, because that was probably the stupidest thing any state could have allowed to happen. There was another video that I wasn't able to use that cited that there were thousands of people who had received treatment. But what they didn't tell you is how many people lost their lives, or how many people went back on the streets using these illicit drugs. How many people, flocked to Oregon so that they could get wasted legally and ended up, losing their lives, losing their livelihoods, losing everything except for the ability to get wasted, right? And so it's a good thing that they're finally walking this back. And I hope it can help restore Oregon to what it once was. I mean, as it was before this terrible thing happened.
I am the reason behind the disappearance of humans on Earth. We've been watching and visiting your planet for millennia, conducting experiments on your kind. In the 1940s, the U.S. government became aware of our presence. They understood our need for a constant supply of test subjects and the sometimes grim consequences of our trials. So we struck a deal. The government would keep our existence a secret to prevent public panic, while we were granted permission to abduct 100,000 humans every year for our experiments. In exchange, we provided them with advanced technology, particularly in weaponry, despite a few attempts to warn the public.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with...
It's too late. Humanity has become our livestock, and we hold the power to end this experiment whenever we choose.
It's difficult for me to argue with things like this. I understand where it's come from, but it is difficult for me to not believe part of that is true. So I looked it up, and 630,000 missing persons reports are filed every year in America alone, and 90,000 of them are never found. So I'm not trying to make light of people who are missing a loved one or anything like that, but that is a strange coincidental number, when you think of just in America. I'm sure somebody looked it up and put all that together as well, but it wouldn't surprise me. You know me and aliens.
Walmart now has steak locked up. Let's come to this. This is getting bad now, man.
The lotion's locked up. The freaking deodorant locked up.
This is pretty freaking sad that everything in Walmart is locked up. I mean, really, guys? Really? I have to wait for somebody to come and bring me or get me dishwashing liquid? This is some bullshit.
What the hell?
Stop saying that.
What the hell? What the hell? What the hell?
Stop.
What the hell? What the hell?
Straight up bullshit. Too bad I can't reach up there because I would grab that stuff. This is BS.
I had to stitch together a few videos there, but you get my drift. We're seeing that happening now a lot more, and it's not just in the Walmarts. It's in all the stores. They got stuff that's locked up that you wouldn't even expect to be locked up. And with those little tags on them, so like if you go out through the thing, it beeps, it goes off, right? The little alarm tags. Personally, I live in a city that when I was young, I was like, oh, that city's so safe, and I'm going to live there one day. And now I do. And our Ralphs started doing that at the beginning of the year. There's a whole area right by the front that's all blocked off, and you have to go in and check out inside of that little area. And it's all personal care stuff too, which is weird. It's stuff you wouldn't even expect because I guess it's just right by the door, and a lot of the stuff can tend to be a little bit expensive. I guess the resale value on it is good. I really don't know. But it's all these people coming into wherever you think it's safe, and it's not safe anymore. Everywhere is a victim now. Everywhere is a potential victim, and it sucks. It sucks, and they can't close their doors. They can't just allow it to continue happening. So they got to do this and lock everything up. It's unfortunate, and now this is the reality that we live in, and it's because of a tiny percentage of people making everybody else have to live like this. That's a kind of terrible note to end it on, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time. Please come back tomorrow. I'll have a fresh video for you, and have a wonderful day.